Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today at Snow Globe Rescue, where we show you how to fix your globes. I'm Tony, and as usual with me is Allie.
Hello.
And today we have a subscriber request. Thank you to Godwin Gerodius for requesting this one. He saw it in one of our new Snow Globe videos recently. And I'll tell you the first thing about this globe that is amazing is that it's not broken.
Mm-hmm.
That is, when we first saw this thing, we're like, okay, all those two reindeer in the front, no antlers missing, no legs missing, they're still there, everything's there. So I'm surprised this made it in one piece. We got this from the thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we paid like, what, $4 or $5 for this one?
If that.
Something like that, right. So it takes batteries. It also takes power supply here. But it plays music, and basically the only thing wrong with this is it has brown water in the globe there. This is just Santa in his sleigh with a bag of toys in there, and he's being pulled by a couple of reindeer. So it's
I like it.
yeah, it's a nice globe. It's interesting because of the layout of the base here with the two deer in front of the globe and everything. So
I like how well done it is.
yeah, no, it's very well.
Hallmark makes good stuff like that. They
Right.
make decent globes and
Right.
ornaments and stuff.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and take this apart and get that water changed out, and that's pretty much all we're going to have to do to this, I think.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. As usual, we need access to this globe to open it up and get the water out, and we have this cover down here, which takes batteries. The batteries are not in there right now, but we're going to go ahead and heat this cover up. And we're going to hold this with the reindeer up in the air. That way they don't bump into anything and break. So, Allie, if you could heat that up, let's get that off of there. All right. There is... Okay, this might not be as easy as we thought.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of wires in here. Hold on a second here.
That's great.
Okay, so first thing we have, let's see here.
Oh.
First thing we got to do is get these wires out of the way. So I see they have some connectors here. So we're gonna go ahead and just disconnect these hair dryer to loosen the hot glue that's holding the connectors in place. Okay, the connectors are now loose from the bottom of the globe there. So let me go ahead and now these... Okay, this is the part that I didn't expect. All of these connectors have hot glue on them, so I'm gonna have to, let's see. All right, got that one. There we go, those two. Okay, so go ahead and heat up that connector right there. Heat up that glue and I'll pull it apart. This one took quite a while because the glue had gotten inside the connector. We had to heat it up, but we finally got it apart. Now we have to heat up this plug down here because they have this plug hot glued into this opening here. So now we got to heat that up and remove it. All right. So Hallmark wasn't fooling around with this globe right here.
Right?
This globe has a lot of glue in it.
There's a lot of glue.
And wow. Okay, so what we thought was going to be an easy repair is not going to be quite so easy because we have got to dig a ton of glue out of here to get to that globe. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is the most hot glue I have ever seen used on a snow globe ever. I mean, it is packed in there. There's a motor here, which apparently is not working. That's probably because of all the glue they have in here. But there's a circuit board in here, there's wires, and I cannot get to the globe because it is under a thick layer. The whole thing's under a thick layer of glue. I mean, this thing was not meant to be taken apart ever. So what we're gonna do, now that we got the cover off and these wires, since there's wires and electronics here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this, cover it with plastic, and we're gonna put it in hot water to loosen all of this hot glue, and then we're just gonna remove this globe off the base because that's really gonna be, now that we see how it's constructed, the easiest way to actually fix this, because otherwise we're gonna be digging glue out of here for hours before we ever get those wires in there for now. And then what we're gonna do, did you open that bag out? We're gonna put the entire snow globe in this plastic bag here. to protect it from the water. Water's boiling. We are going to pour this boiling water in until the water reaches the top of the base where the globe meets the base there. And we are going to give this one 10 minutes instead of the 5 before we check it, because this is a very large base and there's a lot of glue in there. So we're going to go and give that we're going to give that 10 minutes. We'll come back and check it, and hopefully that hot water did its thing. Okay, this snow globe has been in the hot water for 25 minutes. We had to boil a second kettle of hot water. Let's see what's happening here. Let's go ahead and pull it out of here. And maybe we get lucky and all right, let's see. Yes.
Yeah.
Success.
It just needed a long
There
time.
we go. All right. All right. All right. We got the globe out of there. As you can see, though, there is still a ton of glue in there. We need to get some of that out of there so we can reinstall properly. So we're going to go ahead and, while this is still warm, we're going to dig this out of here. We got as much of the hot glue out of this base as we could, and what's left is not going to be in our way. But there was, like I said before, there was the most hot glue I've ever seen in any snow globe ever. Like I said, Hallmark did not plan on this being disassembled and repaired. But we've cleaned.
That is so true.
Yeah, we cleaned this up, and we still have the circuit board and the connector there. So, and the globe fits perfectly. Now, here's the globe. Now, one thing I discovered about this globe, I looked down here. It has a motor, which it looks like that's a motor that circulates the snow around. Well, if you do a quarter twist on this motor, it comes off. And this is a magnet with a square hole in the middle. So this is a magnet-driven impeller. Now, we recently fixed a snow globe that had a similar assembly, a magnet-driven impeller to circulate the snow and the glitter. And the reason the water turned brown is because the magnet inside the globe completely rusted away. I have a feeling that's number one, why the motor wasn't working and circulating the snow, and number two, why this water is brown. So what I suspect is when we take this apart, we're going to find a rusted away magnet. So, and then we'll have to solder some wires back onto the connector once we're done with that.
That was not the easiest fix, was it?
No, it was not. not as easy.
Amazing the way that you fixed it.
Thanks. So, all right. So let's get this figure out here and see what we're dealing with. Make sure it's not stuck on anything. Let's see, it's okay. Let's see here. This is a very dense stopper, so it's going to be probably not as easy to pull out as some, but oh no, I'm not sure about that. Let's see. All right,
Like it.
there we go.
Okay.
Santa is out. All right, so this brown water and the glitter in there is all going down the sink. So here we go. Hold on to that out. Right there is where the stopper attaches to the figurine. So we're gonna go ahead and just, looks like I got it glued here, and we're just gonna go ahead and cut that away. There we go. Okay. Right. So
Easy enough to reattach.
So these 3 tabs on the figurine glue down to these 3 tabs here on the stopper. Yeah, there it is. Well, you know what? I don't know why the water turned brown, but
nothing looks corroded.
no, everything looks good there.
Moving.
Yeah, so that's good. Okay. So actually, it turns out we don't need to replace this, but this matches up with this one here. All right, so as long as this is working, we should be able to get this working. All right, so put that back,
Okay.
and then we'll glue Santa back onto the stopper here. While that glue is drying on the figurine, we're going to go ahead and reattach these wires that came loose. So I got my soldering iron here. We have an episode, we'll leave a link in the description, where we show how to solder. But if you have electronics or wires or something like that in your snow globe, it's a lot easier to get the wires out of the way. And even though in this particular case there were connectors that would have made it really easy for us to remove all this, the connectors are so covered with hot glue that we couldn't really use them properly. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by, I'm going to tin these wires. Tinning is the process where you get some solder in the wires to make them easier to connect and keep all the wires together. So we're just going to heat that solder up, heat that wire up, and then just add a little solder to it. There we go. 1, 2, and there we go, 3, solder. There we go. All right, so now, okay, all the wires are tinned. They all have some solder on them. Connector right here, I had to put the two pieces together to match up the wires. Okay, so if you can hold this, Allie, I'm gonna go ahead and, so I'll start with this first one to the left is the brown wire. Get some solder. I'm just gonna go ahead and heat up these and put a little solder on each one of these, get them ready. Okay, so now I'm going to heat this connector up and attach this brown wire, and I'm going to hold it there until the solder cools. Okay, there's one. Then the black wire is next. Okay, so now that the 3 wires have been reconnected to this connector here, I hooked everything back up to see if it's all working. We put some batteries in here, and when I press this button, the magnet on the motor turns, and when we connect this to the, it's hard to see, but the impeller is turning. It turns, then it stops, then it turns, then it stops. So it's all working now, music, impeller, and everything. So when we put it together, we should have some. Okay, so we're ready to put this thing back together now. So the globe here, since this has an impeller that circulates the glitter, we are just going to use plain water in this. And if this did not have the impeller, we'd put the glue in there so that the snow and the glitter, or we're going to put glitter back into this one because it had glitter to begin with. But since it has an impeller to circulate the snow, we don't really need the glue in there. And also, if we make the water too thick, it might keep the impeller from working properly. So we're going to try it with just plain water here. And as we've mentioned before, this is our snow globe water. It's filtered water with alcohol. We put about a couple of tablespoons of alcohol in here to keep algae and bacteria from forming, which may explain some of that brown water. Sometimes the water smells really bad when it's brown like that. Okay, so go ahead and put your glitter in there.
Okay.
All right. Okay, let's see. I think that's a good amount of glitter.
Yeah, I think that's a good amount.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and hold that, please.
Yeah, got it.
And we're going to go ahead and wet the stopper so that
you're never getting that glitter off your finger now.
I'll have glitter on my fingers forever. Yeah. Okay, let's get Santa in there carefully.
Okay.
And let's see if we can do it without an air bubble. What do you think?
I think that you've done it before, so,
So
I think you can do it again.
I may do it again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
Do you want a flathead?
I'm going to use that little tiny Phillips head screwdriver. It's over here because I can get this one past the stopper easier. So I'm going to get that first part in there. Then I'm going to get this screwdriver in there to create a space to let the pressure release. There we go. Any air bubbles or water. So let's go ahead and push it all the way in. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Now, if I can keep the bubble up here while I'm pushing this stopper in, I'll eventually get the air bubble out just because the displacement of the water allowed me to get that air bubble out through that space that I made with that screwdriver. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out. Got an air bubble. Let's see here.
Maybe by the time you pull it out, the air bubble will be gone.
Maybe. Okay. I gotta get this stopper all the way back in though. It's not all the way in. There we go. Okay. We got an air bubble.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and let this sit let all of the air bubbles that might be in there floating around gather up to the top. And then for this one, since we have a motor, an electrical motor on there, we're not going to submerge it in the water. We're going to go ahead and use the syringe today to get the air bubble out. And so, like I said, we're going to move this all around, tap it a little bit. Any loose little air bubbles that are in there, let them float to the top. And once they all gather up, we'll get I know I said earlier we were going to use the syringe to get this air bubble out, but I forgot that the motor is removable. So there's no electronics or wiring or anything on here. So we can go ahead and use the submersion method here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this little tiny screwdriver here, and I'm going to just put it in between the stopper and the globe here. Make a space for that air bubble to come out. Then we're going to lower it down into the water. And then we're going to open that space and see if that air bubble comes out. It's going. There it goes.
Wants to. Oh,
it's working.
Got it.
I think I got it. Let's see.
Looks like it.
No air bubble. Let me get the screwdriver out of there. Okay, well, let's see. I don't see any air bubbles, so that's good. All right, so I guess we can put this back together now. Okay, we went ahead and reconnected all the wires. Everything's been soldered back together. You hold this, please, Allie? Everything's been soldered back together here. We've got the connectors all back. We've got some black tape in here to keep these wires from touching each other. However, this one slid on me. Let me just make sure I get it back in the right position here. There we go. Okay. Now, as a test here, we're going to take the motor, plug it into the bottom of the, and then we're going to go ahead and, Allie, press the button. That's it. Nothing's happening yet. Okay. All right, let's stop. In the center. It goes on this side. And brown.
These wires look like they're barely hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like they look like they've seen a rough life.
Yep. All right, let's try it now. There we go.
All right.
Okay, we reconnected all the wires. Everything's reconnected. Batteries are in, and we're going to do a test before we reassemble this to make sure that the impeller's working. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the motor. Okay, Allie, press the button. Let's see what happens. There it goes. The impeller's working, and it is circulating the snow. Yeah.
Look at that.
It works. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and take this motor off here, and we're going to go ahead and put this back in. All right, so we are ready to put the globe back in. And so we're going to go ahead and just put a bead of glue around the opening here where the globe sits. We're not going to put anywhere near as much glue as they put in here. That was just a lot of glue, too much glue.
Excessive.
And if we ever have to open this up again, this will make it much easier if we ever have to, which it may happen. The motor might turn brown again, who knows?
Right.
Okay, go ahead and drop it in there, Allie. Make sure he's facing forward, and then we should be okay.
Is he settled in there?
Yep, he's all the way in. Let's see.
Okay, he's good.
He's good, okay.
I think that looks pretty good.
Looks
pretty
good.
lined up here, especially if I'm looking at it head on like that.
Okay, so now, go ahead and, Allie, hold on to the... Let me get everything out of the way here. Okay, hold on to the cover and the motor there.
Got it.
And you know what we're going to do? We're going to let this cool because we're going to turn this upside down.
Yeah, we don't want it to...
And we'll be back in a minute to put this together. All right, the glue is set on the globe there. So now we're going to go ahead and carefully, we've been having some problems with the wires. We're going to carefully put this over the motor to the bottom of the stopper. Get that in there, and it's like a quarter turn to twist it on.
Smaller.
Okay, there we go. We got it. Okay, so now, hold that. I'm going to go ahead and put the batteries back in. Make sure everything works before we seal this. All right, so we have had several issues here reassembling this. First of all of the glue that was all over the wires and the connectors has made it very difficult to work with this and get it back together. Number two, the wires that they used are very, very thin. How would I put it? Very narrow, fine wires, very, very low gauge wires, and it's like every time we move these things around, a wire breaks off. So I've had to resolder several wires back on, and we had a heck of a time figuring out why it wasn't working, but I had to rewire several wires in here, resolder several connections. So it is working now, and we're going to put the cover back on and hope that it still works when we're done. Okay, so Allie, if you could hold this upside down like this, and I will get the, yeah, it's connected. It just looks like, okay, so we're going to go ahead. All right, we are ready to assemble this. I don't think there's any more wires about to break off. I mean, I think we've resoldered probably about 6 or 7 wires at this point. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn this. You turn it upside down, I'll get this, and we'll just move this all as one unit. Try not to disturb any more wires, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these wires carefully into here. And this is a mess. This compartment is tight. We got as much glue out as we could. So now this goes right here. Let me get everything in there. I'm not going to re-glue everything the way I had it because this is just an absolute disaster.
And we don't want to risk jostling the things more than necessary.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 drops of glue. One there. One there. And one over here. Okay. And then hopefully it still works once I get it together. Let me get all these wires in there and get the cover on. All right.
Okay.
Let's put it up on a stand, see if it works. Finally.
Oh my God.
There he is. Okay, now we're going to talk about this for just a second here. I'm going to turn it around so you can see. Okay, so we replaced. Basically, the only thing we had to do was replace the brown water in this globe. However, Godwin, you picked a good one.
Yeah.
This was probably the most difficult globe we have fixed yet. This one, we almost gave up on it.
Yeah.
Now getting the water in the globe, replacing that water, no problem. That was not a problem. The biggest issue we had with this globe was, number one, the amount of hot glue that they used. It was all over all the connectors, the wires, the circuit board, the inside of the base, and where the globe, the opening of the globe sits. That was completely filled with glue. I mean, just a ton of glue. That was number one. So we had to deal with all the glue all over everything. The other thing that we had to deal with was the wires. Those wires are very delicate. They're very thin wires. And as we were assembling it and putting it together, wires kept popping off the circuit board. They kept popping off the connectors. I had to redo about maybe 8 solder connections while we were reassembling.
Every time we moved in, it was ridiculous.
Almost every time. So we finally got it back together. Now we're going to make sure it actually works. And we are never taking this apart again.
I don't care what size air bubble it gets or,
well,
the water looks like.
It depends. It depends because.
I think it's done.
However, if we ever do take it apart again, we didn't use a lot of glue on it this time. We just put a little bit of glue around the to hold it on. We could probably use a hair dryer to lift the globe up, disconnect the motor, and then fix it and put it back in. And I think we can do it from the top if we had to do it again, but we will only work on this globe again if it absolutely needs it. But yeah, Hallmark, a lot of glue, and I would don't use so much glue, and maybe some stronger wires, some thicker gauge wires would really help. But other than that, it's a nice globe. Just once again, it was not meant to be maintained or repaired or opened up or anything. I don't think they ever meant for this thing to be fixed.
Yeah,
so, but we
definitely not.
We managed to do it. It was very frustrating. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see. So you should hear the music, and we should hear you should see the snow circulating. The motor, there's like a little timer circuit in there where it runs for a little bit, lets the glitter circulate, then runs again. So let's go ahead and see if it works. It works.
Yay!
It works.
Thank
I was afraid when we put it back together and put it up here, that when we got the cover back on, it wouldn't work, but it does. Okay. All right, this is going up in the Christmas section. Christmas is in about 3 weeks, and we are not touching this again until Christmas. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
I like it.
The Santa in his sleigh with reindeer, Hallmark snow globe with the circulating glitter and music. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was frustrating for us, but we hope you maybe learned something. Maybe if you have a similar globe that needs work like this, you'll know what to do now. And hopefully we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks.
Thank you.